Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GTHub podcast. I am once again Forza R18. Joining me is Joshua Jones Commentary,
Hello.
Roblo97,
Sup?
and rejoining us this week in place of Mikhail is Penta.
Hello, I'm finally back after 3 weeks. 2 weeks? 3?
Yes, our friendly Austrian is back again.
I think it was actually longer than 3 weeks because I don't remember you being back since my holiday, so you were probably off for about 5 weeks. But yeah, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back, I think.
Well, we'll soon see about
we'll
that.
find out.
Yeah, we'll soon see about that later on.
I'm sure Forza
But
will
there is
tell
a
you that we've all got far more annoying since last time.
You've already started becoming annoying.
Thank you. I've succeeded.
But moving on from that, there is a reason why Penta's on again, is because we forgot to mention, and really pretty much neglected, all of the ADAC GT Masters news that happened over the last week, because we're idiots.
Very important news at that. Shame on you guys.
Like I said, idiots.
Can't leave you
Yeah,
alone.
sorry about that.
It's all my fault.
Yes, right.
We're
So
sorry.
there was a bit of controversy in the ADAC GT Masters. Do you want to introduce us to that then, Penta?
Sure, so at the second to last race, 2 weeks ago, at the Sachsenring, both Zach Speed, AMG, Mercedes were disqualified from both races. In the Saturday race, one of the cars came in position 2, I think, and it got disqualified for that. And on the Sunday race, both cars landed in P1 and 2, and they got disqualified for that also because they had wrong camshaft timings that were not homologated, so they basically got disqualified for both of those races, which is a very bold move from them.
It's very disappointing. We never like to see races won after the finish, but I suppose that if there was, well, there would have been something illegal about the cars, then you can't really do much
Well,
else.
that was
It's just-
very illegal about
Yeah,
the car.
yeah.
That was completely unhomologated parts,
I-
because even
I was wondering.
Mercedes was the ones who found it first and reported it to the stewards.
Yeah. I was wondering why they suddenly had a burst of pace that weekend. I mean, you don't normally see domination like you saw in race 2 from a certain team, especially in a BOP series like the ADAC GT Masters. But as I said, it's a disappointing result because you never like to see it won after the finish. You like to see every piece of action happen on the track or in the pits. And during the race and while it's happening. So I must say I was a bit disappointed when I saw the news, but these things happen.
Sadly, they do, and it's not the first time for Mercedes that happened, because
Oh,
in
no, it isn't.
2016, 24 Hours of Spa, pretty much all cars ran on not.
Well, not all of the Mercedes. It was just the 6 factory
Oh,
cars that
sorry,
were caught
yes.
with illegal.
Fuel
I
map.
think it was modifications. Was it? Yeah, it was a fuel map because it was illegal tampering with the ECU.
Yeah,
So they all had to serve like 1 lap penalties or something like that.
I thought it was 2 laps, or the equivalent of 2 laps in minutes.
It was
Actually, yeah, I think it was actually a 6-minute penalty. So probably about two lap.
yeah, it was a
penalty,
4
I
or
think.
5 minute stop go. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
and
Um,
starting from the pits,
Oh, that too. Yeah.
which was a weird sight, seeing 6 cars just start from the pits 6 minutes late.
Yeah.
Well, they all had their qualifying times revoked as well, didn't they?
Well, of course they
Um,
did because it was
yeah.
it was an illegal car setting those times.
Well, no, I just wasn't sure if they had done that because they had issued the penalties, but I wasn't sure if they kept their position or not.
Yeah, I've actually got the statement from Mercedes AMG Customer Racing up concerning the disqualifications to the Zach Speed cars. Quote, Mercedes AMG Customer Racing dissociates from the conditions that have led to the disqualification of the Zach Speed team during the ADAC GT Masters at the Sachsenring last weekend, At no time, Mercedes-AMG or the engineers of HWA AG commissioned by us were involved in the technical modifications that have resulted into the disqualification. The camshaft setting that wasn't in accordance with the GT3 homologation as identified by the DMSB on both Mercedes-AMG GT3 of the Zakspeed team during the ADAC GT Masters event at the Sachsenring is the result of a modified engine mapping. How these modified mappings could end up on the two engine control units of the Zakspeed team's cars is inexplicable to Mercedes-AMG and is currently being investigated in detail by the DMSB. The notification of the technical scrutineers of the DMSB about a possible modification on the two Mercedes-AMG GT3 of the Zakspeed team that wasn't in accordance with the homologation was made directly by Mercedes-AMG Customer Racing, respectively by the engineers of HWA AG that were commissioned. To clarify this regrettable situation, Mercedes-AMG Customer Racing is fully cooperating with the DMSB. Moreover, the contractual relationship between Mercedes-AMG and the Zakspeed team was terminated with immediate effect. End quote.
That's some heavy
Yes.
stuff. I actually didn't know that.
And yeah, they are immediately have lost their factory Mercedes-AMG support. So it's actually evident because immediately after that, I think was announced, their cars were put up for sale online.
Oh, they were?
Yes, there is a listing online for the Zakspeed AMGs, which with I think it says lightly used on them or something like that. Some description, which I found funny.
Lightly, you mean hurled round a racetrack with illegal components?
Or
Yeah.
so it doesn't actually say that, but you know, like the because it's online at a race car auction site or whatever that you would describe it as. But whatever the description was, it had that kind of effect to it.
Yeah, yeah. So what were they racing in the at the Hockenheim ring then? Was it?
Well, no, the Hockenheim ring was the last race, but the cars had already been put up online. In fact, on the listing, it lists the last race was being the Hockenheim ring. So
Okay, yeah.
it apparently appears that they aren't even going to be racing Mercedes cars for next year.
No, but if it was with immediate effect, then surely they shouldn't have raced the Mercedes at the Hockenheim ring.
Well, it was they still had the cars. They just lost all Mercedes factory support.
Right.
So they were just customers racing it themselves. They didn't have any. What it meant was that they didn't have any AMG engineers or anyone on their crew with them.
That does
what that
make
meant.
sense, yeah.
Although, having said that, the timing of the advert says that it was actually listed on the 5th of September.
So 20 days ago. That was before the race.
Oh, so even before then. Oh, so then they were. This was known before then.
Well, that must be a mistake,
Possibly.
because surely they wouldn't have sold their cars before they even fell out with Mercedes. That doesn't make any sense.
Or they were
No,
already...
what kind of leads you to believe that maybe they had already fallen out with Mercedes.
That is a point, yeah, but that doesn't. I mean, what about? It's quite obviously about illegal engine components. So
Yeah, it's just a very strange thing. Well, maybe they run Nissans next year. Who knows?
you have to wonder as well what Mercedes have actually got to do with this, because it does sort of. It does sort of sound a bit like the Spa situation. The difference being that in the Spa situation, it was a Mercedes. It was the Mercedes factory team that was found guilty, and in this case, it was Zakspeed, who is a customer with, well, who did have a bit of Mercedes support.
It had nothing to do with Mercedes themselves, though, because they themselves admitted it.
Yeah, but Mercedes were the first to report it. So
And I have exactly, that's my point. They were the ones that found it because on them going through the Zakspeed cars. So I would suspect if it was an issue on Mercedes' end, that it would be like it was at Spa. It would be on all the cars, because there was more than those two Mercedes running over the weekend that had Mercedes support. So I would have suspected that if they had the same kind of factory effort going there, then they would all have the same ECU setups, but only Zakspeed did.
Or they just, knew the contract was going to end with this season and just thought, screw it, we're just going to try to cheat a little bit and hope nobody catches us.
Well, that's probably what ended up happening, actually.
yeah, such a shame, but yeah.
But
one side knew something the other side didn't, and then Mercedes went, hang on, we didn't tell you to do that.
Yes.
it is a weird situation and leads to a lot of questions that probably will never be answered.
But segueing off of that, you saw the ADAC races from the Hockenheim ring, correct?
I have indeed, yes. And there was quite some drama on the Sunday race. I sadly only got the last, I don't know, 17 minutes.
Well, that's more than most of us probably.
Which, when I joined, had an interesting battle at the top 4 with Nicky Katzberg in the BMW at P1, Robert Renauer in P2 with the Porsche, then Inaichen in P4 with the Lamborghini, and in P5 was what's his name? Jules Gunnar.
It was going so well.
And the Corvette, I know. And the Corvette, and there were some battles up front, and in
The 2017 ADAC GT Masters champion.
I was just going to say
Jules
that,
Gunnar.
yeah.
correct. Running in P4, battling in Icon, got to overtake him then, effectively making him third, and the Porsche overtaking Katzberg, making the Porsche first. So a lot of switches of position, and then it all came down in the last lap with the BMW and the Porsche going side by side, effectively spinning out the Porsche, making Katzberg first again, and the Lamborghini managed to overtake Gunon again. Yeah, then the BMW got a 30-second time penalty, making the Lamborghini first, the Corvette second, and I don't even know who was third. I think a Mercedes.
30-second penalty for what?
For spinning out the Porsche effectively.
Oh, really? Wow, that's a steep penalty for that.
It was a very steep penalty, and I have to say, at first they were side by side coming out of the Parabolica, I think, and there was some contact, but nothing, just regular race incident. And then
Beating on each other, yeah.
yeah, then the Porsche got a little bit, sideways, and the the BMW didn't exactly stop fighting and kind of turn him around and shove the Porsche into the wall. So I would say it was a justified penalty. Some argue it is not. I don't know. I just go back and watch it because the last 2 laps were crazy.
Yeah,
Have to say
in a few minutes I'm going to watch that again because I wish they'd shown more replays at the time. It was a difficult one to judge. I remember thinking that at the time. That it was just a case of 2 cars fighting, really, possibly a bit too hard. They seemed to be giving each other enough room, actually, until the obvious happened. But
It was a fair fight the last 15 minutes I've seen it, and it was a great fight at that. Sadly, it had to end that way, but also kind of happy because the Lamborghini got in first.
yeah,
But
Was it the Grasser Lamborghini?
Yes.
That's a good question.
it was.
Oh, was it? Okay. I thought it was one of the other ones.
No, it was the number 63, I think.
Oh, the proper GRT Lamborghini then.
Well, actually, in GT Masters, it's the lesser lineup, in quotations.
The lesser lineup. Well, I just meant like the main car, because isn't the number 63 like the main number they use for like all their programs?
Well, 63 and 19, basically.
Well, I know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
like how Nissan has the 23, and that's like the car that everyone wants to have, like that kind of thing.
Basically, yeah.
right. So here's my analysis on the footage. I'm watching it right now. We've got Katzberg going to the outside, darts to the inside as Renauer goes a bit too defensive into the corner, and then it looks as if Katzberg just sort of runs Renauer out of room. Renauer sort of he definitely didn't have the line by that point. Katzberg did have the line, so I think some drivers would have just given the place up there, but the thing is, Renault was never going to do that. And of course, Katzberg did sort of have the line, sort of should have given him more room at the same time. To be honest, what penalty did he get in the end?
30-second time penalty.
I think that's too harsh. I think if he was to be blamed for it, it should have been...
I would have at least, it would have been 5 or 10 second
Yeah.
penalty, like it usually is.
I think it should have been a
yeah.
10-second at most, because it's just a case of two drivers fighting, one came off worse. It's... In fact, if I was the steward there, I probably wouldn't even take action.
Yes, we all know how you view stewarding.
No, I'm harsh but fair. I'd say in that case, I probably wouldn't take action.
Fair enough.
I don't know. It's a difficult situation, but it happened. The penalty happened. No time to change it anymore.
Yeah.
But putting a bow on that subject, there weren't any other ADAC races that weekend, were there?
No, just the 2 Saturday and Sunday race. Which
Well,
Okay.
There were the
Saturday
support
race
categories.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Sorry.
Sorry, yeah. The Saturday race had a little bit of drama in the first lap already with a red flag. There was a
Yes.
big shunt between 4 or 5 cars.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Are all the drivers fine from that one?
I'm pretty sure they are. I haven't read anything about it, but I'm pretty sure all the
okay.
cars made it back as well. I know that
Well, not by their own power.
No, in the next day, I think all got rebuilt. I know the number 19 Lamborghini got rebuilt. Both started on Sunday as well.
Yeah, I'm still not entirely sure how it actually started. It looked very much like a couple of cars went wide and jostled for position and rubbed doors up ahead, and then was it one of the Porsches or one of the Audis or something just suddenly sort of darted across the track in the midfield and took out the Lamborghini. It's very difficult to see what actually started the accident.
There, from the onboard, you could see there was something between a Audi and a Mercedes.
Yeah, that sounds about
There
right.
was some smoke, and then the third Audi behind those two started suddenly going all the way to the right of the track, taking out the Lamborghini, and then it just all happened from there. It was a very dramatic scene, I have to say that.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, and anytime the track's completely blocked and it brings out a red flag, I mean that's a dramatic scene, and we saw that not only then in the weekend, but we'll get to that later.
Well, since you bring it up, we can segue into that immediately. Then.
Well, I was of course referring to the VLN race, which also happened at the weekend at the Nürburgring, and it was the first time I've ever seen an endurance race halted before the finish.
The first one. There's been others.
First one I've seen.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But yeah, I mean I've seen endurance races halted, but not. They've always been restarted again.
Yes, sorry, I just put you off the track, but go on.
This one was just absolute chaos. There was a big collision caused by an oil spill. Oh, well, we say it was an oil spill. It was some kind of fluid.
It looked like an oil spill of some
Yeah,
kind.
from the Foxtel Manta, who had gone off the circuit a few minutes earlier, and as that car was being dragged through the area, of course the car was dropping oil or water or some sort of fluid. Next few cars to come through, I think it was all started by a VW Golf that came through. That went absolute. Well, that just lost control of the car on the oil. Big accident. 3 more cars piled in behind it. Yeah, track completely blocked. Interestingly, people were saying it was at Fuchsrat or the Foxhole. I don't think it was. It looks far more like the Schwedenkreuz to me on the footage.
The only thing we can agree on from looking at the footage is that we have no idea where it is.
No, I'm almost entirely sure it was at Schwedenkreuz. But wherever it was, big crash, red flag, and because there was only 26 minutes
Anyone who
remaining,
knows the Nürburgring will know, and I'm sure they'll just be like, no, we're getting it wrong. They actually know.
well, I'm sure it was Schwedenkreuz.
Because
So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I think I heard Martin Haven say on the Radio Le Mans commentary that it was Fuchsra.
Yeah, I don't think that was right. I think it was Friedenkreuz, because Fuchsra is... Well, it's more of the camera position that convinces me, because it looks like it's standing on a bank where, if it was at Fuchsra, would be in the middle of a chicane. So I'm pretty sure that it's...
This is fan footage, by the way. There were no actual
the
camera
fan
pictures
footage.
of it.
So I'm pretty sure that it was Friedenkreuz, and he was standing on the bank on the outside of Arenberg.
Still looked a little bit like Fuchsra
Fox,
from what I could see in the thumbnail of the clip.
I'm convinced it was Friedenkreuz.
Anyway, it was a crash that blocked the track, and it ended the 7th VLN race of the season 26 minutes early, in which I think it was the number 9...
It was the number 911 Manti Porsche.
Oh, it was 911, okay.
Manti Racing Porsche.
Yeah, that was the eventual winner of the race. They would have liked to have won it with the full 4 hours, and it's never nice to see a race not restarted after a red flag period. Of course, they didn't restart it because it was so close to the end of the race.
Barrier repair scuppered any chances of a restart.
Yeah, because it was just such a big accident which took so long to clean up and repair. But yeah, it was actually quite an uneventful race up until that point. I mean, Manti had led pretty much from...
Manti?
Manti, sorry, Manti. I'm just saying the phonetic spelling, whatever. So Manti had led from pretty much the start. I mean, technically they weren't the pole sitter, but they took the lead very early on and led it from there.
They weren't? I thought they were.
Were they?
I thought the Porsche was on pole, or who
was it?
on pole then?
Well, I know the Renault was the Renault started second, but that retired with a puncture quite earlier.
Oh, maybe, yeah, you're right. That's the one I was thinking of that
No,
I thought was on pole.
But the
Never
Renault
mind.
was
Yeah,
second,
you're right.
so I can't actually remember who started on pole, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't the Porsche.
No, you're right. I think it was either the Porsche or it was the...
Well, I know the Renault
that was
started
on
second.
pole. But one of the key cars that was running in the race was the debut of the new Nissan GTR Nismo GT3.
Yes, I couldn't tell it apart from the old one.
There are differences. It's got a new front splitter on it. The grille is entirely new. The fenders have a bit more of a curve on them, and the dive planes are a bit bigger and they're more rounded. As for the rear, I'm not sure about the rear because I didn't get a good look at it.
I think
But
it's...
you can
Same
tell
as
it
that.
apart
Yeah.
from the current ones that are going around.
You see, I've spotted that now that people have pointed it out to me, but it's almost like it's become a caricature of itself, really. I mean, of course, that doesn't matter at all. It's all about how it races, how reliable it is, so forth. But
Now, keep in mind, yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, keep in mind, it doesn't look that much different to if you just were casually glancing at it, you just go, oh, it's the same car. But
yeah,
underneath is entirely new gearbox, entirely new drivetrain. The engine, I believe, is entirely new as well. It's a different
I think
one.
it has-
It's actually a 6-cylinder and not the 4-cylinder that people thought it was going to be too.
I can't
so it's
I can't
not the
imagine a
Super GT
4-cylinder
engine.
GT3, but yeah.
Well, that's what is powering a Super GT500 GTRs.
I don't follow
4-cylinder.
Yeah, I don't
But-
follow Super GT.
That would.
And that's what people thought was going to be in the GT3 version, but apparently it's still the 6-cylinder.
Yeah, but that would mean they would need a production car 4-cylinder to homologate it for GT3. So it's
No, they don't.
they don't.
Nope.
Well, all they really need...
GT3
chassis?
doesn't require. As long as you use this is as long as you use a production car and a production car body style in that family, you can use any engine,
Oh.
i.e. BMW with the M6 and the Z4s, which have V8s in them, even though the Z4 never had a V8 in it.
Basically,
Fine.
all you need to do is stick the
stand
GTR name on it, and it's homologated.
Interestingly enough, GT3 allows, like I said, it allows you to have a car that's a production car. You can use the body from it and anything like that. But the engine, as long as it comes from the road car family, you can put it in your car. So it doesn't have to be the engine that's in the exact car. but it has to be from your road car lineup.
So they
Yes.
could technically put a micro engine in the GTR if they wanted, and
Well, I believe that's what the inline 4 Super GT engine is based on. I think it's based off of one of their little micro car engines.
I know nothing about Super GT, so you could tell me everything, and I'll probably believe you.
Well, I'm probably getting half of this wrong, but I know that you're running 4-cylinders because I'm not sure if the 4-cylinder they use in GT500 is a road-based block, so I'm not sure about that. But it would make sense though.
I think the engines used in Super GT might just be purpose-built race engines. but
I think they might be race engines, but still, even if
not
that's the
100%
case, they
sure on
could
that.
still pluck that engine and put it in the GT3 if they wanted. But that's not the way they went,
It was
for obvious reasons.
yeah. It was also the first time I'd actually seen the Mercedes AMG GT4. And of course it has raced before. I think it raced in a previous VLM, but
Its debut
Yeah.
was in 24H series race, I think.
was
Ah,
it? No,
I think
it
it
hasn't
was-
raced in the 24H series. I would have seen
No,
it.
no. It was a VLN. It was VLN 5, I think, where we made its race debut,
Yeah, there
and
you
then
go.
it went to a 24H series race.
It's
There we
Has
go.
it?
I
Solved
think.
it.
Oh, Portimao. Yeah,
Yeah, it was at Portimao.
that
yeah.
that makes sense because I was on holiday during the Portimao 24. But yeah, so it was the first time I'd seen that car. I thought it looked very weird. To be honest,
Well, it's an AMG GT4. I mean, it's an AMG GTR road car with.
it actually looks
Race
smaller
car
than the
bits on
road
it.
car. I know that it isn't technically, but it actually looks.
It's exactly the same thing as a road car.
Yeah, it actually looks smaller than the road car. It's quite funny, really.
Not really a GT4 in spirit.
Yeah.
No, it's
exactly.
not.
Not a real GT4 car.
And
Which brings us to a point that you had raised to me earlier, actually.
gosh, here we go.
What
Yes.
was that? Sorry.
The Chevrolet Camaro.
Oh, yes.
GT4. The pricing was announced.
Which is now on sale to customers,
Yes.
by the
Finally.
way.
Its
Not that
costs-
anyone's going to buy it.
It costs. You sitting comfortably for this?
Oh, very.
No,
No.
not really.
I'm holding my desk.
$259,000
My
or
word.
£191,000.
My word.
It should be in dollars. It's an American
Did you
car.
say £159,000?
No, £191,000.
190. Yeah, that sounds
GT4.
more like it. My goodness.
Just for a bit of perspective here, the Aston Martin Vantage is somewhere in the region of £150,000. The McLaren
Because it's an old car.
the McLaren 570S, which is based on a road car with a carbon fibre chassis, is somewhere in the region of £160,000, I believe, and the Ginetta GT4 car is somewhere, I believe, in the region of £75,000. But even weirder is the Porsche Cayman GT4 in full-on Manthey racing trim works out at about £121,000, $163,000, €138,000. But what's even more staggering?
No. See, that needs a distinction though, because there are two separate ways you can have your Porsche Cayman,
Yes, there are.
which is the Porsche Cayman Club Sport
Sports.
GT4, or the
Yours.
Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport MR.
The MR standing for Manthey Racing. If you want your basic Cayman GT4, that will be £95,300. Because the Manthey Racing package actually adds another €30,000 onto the price.
You don't need it. It's stupid.
And what's even more daft, seemingly, about the price of the Camaro is that for only $36,000 more, you can actually get the brand new shiny Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo.
I'd
Evo.
much rather have the Lamborghini, yeah.
Yes, even the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup racer, the brand new one that made its debut
Yeah,
this
you could
year.
have two brand new 911 GT3 Cup cars for the price of one Camaro, I think.
I mean, admittedly, the price of the Porsche is slightly more than the Camaro at £196,500, but that does include tax, whereas I think the Camaro's price didn't include tax.
I don't think it did.
No.
No. Well, it didn't include VAT on it.
Yes.
So I don't know the thing on that.
So it is. So when you actually factor in the VAT, the Camaro is still more expensive than the Carrera Cup Porsche, which means that the Porsche is not only cheaper, but also most likely, and I'd say most probably would be a bit quicker around a circuit.
Yes, definitely.
Also, this makes the AMG GT4 100 grand more expensive than the actual road car. The actual road car is priced at $158,000.
Funny how that works.
Yes. So
This
you're
is all
paying,
for a Camaro.
so you're paying 100 grand more just for...
Well, in the Camaro's defense, it's not just a regular Camaro. It's a Camaro ZR, or no, not ZR1. Camaro ZL1 SS1LE or something like that package that they turned into a race car. So it's already an expensive road car that they converted into a race car. So maybe that's why it's so expensive. But even then, I don't see how a aluminum-bodied car that consists mostly of aluminum and steel is more expensive than a carbon fiber chassis, carbon fiber GT4 car from McLaren.
One's mind truly boggles at the thought of doing the maths.
The Ford Mustang GT4 is cheaper than both of them, I
Wow.
think. But I haven't seen pricing on that, though. But I'm pretty sure it ends up being cheaper than the Camaro,
That-
knowing how Ford sells things.
That honestly wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Oh, dearie me.
Speaking of the Evo, like you said, the Lamborghini Super Trofeo
Evo.
Evo, or whatever the name is. Hang on, it's got a name somewhere.
I've got the article up on Autocar magazine, and yeah, it is the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo Evo.
Now, I have a very interesting and very truthful story about those two cars, the McLaren and the Chevrolet, which actually happened to me today. So first, I was on my way to school when a McLaren drove past, a McLaren 570S, and it went vroom, of course, as it does, and everyone looked around and everyone was like, oh yes, I'd love to own one of those. And then, just a few minutes later, a Camaro drove past, and it stalled. And yeah, you could quite obviously see the juxtaposition between the two. And let's face it, no one is going to pay that much money for a Camaro when...
Well, you say that, but American cars in Europe are a thing that people actually like more than here in America. In some places,
Because-
i.e. Sweden.
Just something
don't-
we don't have.
yeah.
It's that exclusivity
Yeah.
that we
Exactly,
want.
that's
and
my
we pay
point.
the price. And GM knows that. Chevrolet, I don't know.
And it's...
Because the Mustangs have already been sold. They haven't announced pricing, but Ford has already said they've lined up. I think they've lined up at least 10 or 15 customers, I think I had read. Something like that for the GT4.
Yeah.
Some of
and-
those being in Europe as well.
Yes, and the chances are it means that, because I read an interview on Sportscar 365 that I believe it was Larry Holt, I think it was, from Multimatic.
Yeah, head of Multimatic,
was said that he'd actually been talking to a certain Mr. Malcolm Wilson from the M Sport World Rally team / Bentley.
Well,
GT
actually,
team.
yeah, I was going to say Mr. Malcolm Wilson from the M Sport WRC program and the Bentley M Sport customers.
Yes, and
So it seems he's ready to add another program to his list of already burgeoning programs.
Yep.
yep, and in more IMSA news, there's already talk as to who's going to be driving what and where next season.
Well, of course.
Yes. So with Penske confirming Dane Cameron and Juan Pablo Montoya, that leaves a seat open in the Whelen Engineering.
It's Felipe Nasser, if I'm
Really?
correct, right?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, interestingly enough, on that note, since I was actually there at the Laguna Seca to watch the IMSA race, more on that later, I was overhearing the Whelen Engineering car while it was going through the tech inspection after the race. The mechanic was talking to one of the officials there, and he was actually asking him about the drivers, and he said, "We don't know who's in the car yet," and there is no test, even though people had been reporting there would be testing in November. He just flat out said, "We don't know who it is, and we will not be testing," which is an interesting sidebar.
Yes.
Yes.
And I mean, the cool thing is that this time last year, Felipe Nasser was driving for Sauber in Formula One.
Yeah.
But
I think driving's a bit nice there. More like floundering in the back.
Oh no, he had his good times. Finished 5th on his
Yeah.
debut, I should point out, just like Mark Webber.
Well, no, this was with the good Sauber, not the bad Sauber. He ended up finishing his F1 career.
Well, yeah.
And the fun thing is that for him is that he's actually going to be going to a team where he presumably won't actually be needing to bring in any sponsorship money, and that he'll actually become a fully paid driver.
Good.
So he won't actually. I don't think he'll have to bring any of the Banco do Brasil sponsorship money.
Oh, I don't think he has that money anymore either, so that's
I always
a
think-
clear point.
I always think he deserved that. He's actually quite a good driver. Not Formula 1 spec, I must say. He's not Formula 1 spec.
No. He's a good driver. He deserved F1 to be an F1. It's just that unfortunately his Banco do Brasil money dried up right at the wrong moment.
Yeah. I don't think he was ready for F1, and I don't think he ever would be, but I think he is a good driver who deserves to be in racing, so I'm very pleased to hear that he's got a seat in IMSA, and that he's a fully paid driver that people can't just slam as being a pay driver.
Well, it's still a rumour at the moment. The Action Express have not confirmed anything just yet.
Oh, I hope it's confirmed.
Yeah. And also, Ricky Taylor might be moving from the family team to join the Acura effort
Yeah,
as
that
well.
sounds very, 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 very likely from the rumors and the attitude of which the team is saying, because Castroneves will be probably the main driver in that program with Ricky Taylor.
Oh, that'll
Regardless
be
of what
very
everyone
interesting.
keeps speculating that he's not going. He's going to Acura to be a sports car driver because he was just testing the damn thing.
Of interestings. In other news, Mazda have been testing.
Well, actually, on the IMSA note, another driver that I saw hanging around on the grid walk at IMSA was one Ashley Freiberg,
Yes. Shame.
because she wasn't driving in the Super Trofeo race this weekend, which was really sad actually, because
Yeah.
she was sitting third in the pro points in the Super Trofeo standings. She's a driver who definitely needs some sponsorship money. But interesting enough, on that note, I saw her talking to Turner Motorsport again.
Ah.
And the conversation, when I was looking at it, seemed to be going very well. So I'm not going to read too much into that, but she has been a BMW driver in the past. So
Because
Forza, our
Just-
official IMSA correspondent. Right on the
well,
track.
Yes.
it wasn't intentional. It was just, kind of looking around, going, I know who that person is, and then I was just like, oh, that seems to be interesting.
yeah. In the GTLM class, Porsche might be moving Gianmaria Bruni and Lawrence Van Tor to the World Endurance Championship for the 2018/19 season, which means that Nick Tandiano...
No, the super
The
season.
super season, yes. Which means that some super drivers might be making a return to IMSA in Nick Tandy and Earl Bamber.
Ooh.
Who will also be driving the 911 RSRs at Petit Le Mans in about a week and a half's time.
Ooh, that's going to be fun. And BMW have also, there are rumours surrounding...
Tomczyk!
Yes, surrounding Martin Tomczyk, who's rumoured to be moving to the WEC programme, which will open up a seat for former GTLM champion back when he was racing the Viper in Kuno
Ooh.
Whitmer.
I've never heard of him.
His most people's response to hearing his name. Kuno who? But no, he's a quick driver who finally deserves to not sit on the sidelines for the whole season.
Apart from the endurance races.
Well, that's what I mean for the whole season. He shows up for 3 races.
And then comes arguably the...
They also, actually still staying with BMW, they still don't know who's fielding the cars in IMSA next year.
No, they still haven't confirmed
They
it.
still haven't confirmed
Whether
it,
it'll be-
but BMW has said that they will most likely confirm the team before Petit Le Mans, and it's either between... Well, they haven't said who it is, because the whole thing's hush-hush, but
Yeah.
it's either going to be with Rahal still, Rahal Edmund Lanigan, or Andretti Autosport snags a contract for them, which would be really sad for the Rahal guys. But even if that's the case, Rahal has said he would be looking at an LMP2 program if the BMW program goes away, so he'll still be in IMSA, regardless.
Yes. And then we come to GTD, which has, with one piece of new rumour which has left a pretty sour taste in most people's mouths, that...
No, that's not fair. That not a tad bit of sour taste in your
I
mouth.
was
Just
understating
more like
it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't need understating. It needs alarm bells, because it's just idiotic news of the week, I think,
Well, it's...
in my book.
Yes. As the current defending champions, Christina Nielsen and Alessandro Balzan, the GTD points leaders, might actually be looking around for a drive next year. Because...
No, not actually might be. They are looking for a drive next year, because Christina Nielsen has confirmed that she will not be returning to the GTD Scuderia Corsa Ferrari next year.
No.
And she's already out testing other cars.
Well, that's
Ah,
interesting.
Yes, because WeatherTech Racing, with Cooper McNeil and Gunnar Jeanette, it's looking likely that they're going to be driving for Scuderia Corsa next year.
Which is a rumor, but God, I hope it's just a rumor and it's not true.
Well,
Because if Alessandro Balzan even loses his drive from that team, will just be awful. It's bad enough Christina Nielsen isn't returning to the team, because damn, she's quick and she deserves to be in that car.
Oh, yeah.
you always wonder, especially when a championship leader announces that they might not be with their team next year, or that they probably won't be with their team next year.
In her case, she will not be with that team.
You always wonder what went on behind those doors, because or just
Well, funding for her was unattainable, that was what it was. Because she even said so in her release, saying that she wasn't going to be there next year.
yeah,
And
that's-
Which definitely does lead one to believe that the WeatherTech rumors must be true, because you know the cubic amount of dollars that they have with them.
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Because they run 2 different cars, because they can't make up their freaking mind which one they want to run every weekend.
Well, two's better than one.
They started the year with the Mercedes-AMG GT3 because they had factory money to do so from Mercedes-AMG. Then Cooper McNeil griped about how he could favorable BOP, so they switched to the Porsche that they still have from VIR and have continued to run it since then. And even then, ironically, they keep losing to the AMG GT3 in their sister car, the number 33. So it's not down to BOP, it's just down to Cooper McNeil not knowing how to drive a car.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, well, it's true.
And with Stevenson Motorsport, and very sadly, it has to be said, shutting up shop at the end of the season. They've ditched the Conti program, and they're still running the Audis though because of contractual obligations. It does make you wonder if maybe Christina Nielsen and Alessandro Balzan could end up driving an Audi next year, because whilst there has been an additional entry from Townsend Bell and Bill Sweedler for the North American Endurance Cup and Bill's home round at Lime Rock Park, the Stevenson car has been the only Audi R8 in the full season in the GTD class this year.
Yes, and interesting enough, and will continue this season, unlike their Camaro GT4R program, which was shuttered immediately after VIR, with immediate effect. so they weren't there this weekend, and they won't be at Road Atlanta either with the Camaros. That program has been shuttered, but Stevenson will continue to Petit Le Mans because they are contractually obligated to by Audi. Otherwise, that program would have been shuttered by now.
Yes. But despite all this, there was the IMSA weekend at Laguna Seca. There was a 4-hour Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge race.
Yes, the very eventful 4 hours. It was.
Oh, I still need to catch the last half of that race.
Oh, you don't need the last half of that race. You need the last
4
2
hours.
hours of that race. Yeah. Actually, no. You just need to watch all 4 hours. Yeah, it was eventful from start to finish.
Yeah, because
Which kind of does make me a bit sad that it's gone from next year, the 4-hour race there, because it definitely made a case for going, oh yeah, proper endurance racing belongs at Laguna Seca, because damn, that was a good race.
Yeah, and after that, there was the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship race, and wow.
Wow is an understatement for that effect. I was
Yeah.
there, and I can tell you it was not wow, it was, oh my god, what the hell is happening for the last 30 minutes of that race. Actually, no, for the last, hour and 20 minutes, that was just
After the full
oh my
course
god, what is
yellow, I
happening?
think.
Yes, after the first and...
Only?
Was it the first? No. Second full course yellow, I think.
I thought there was only one.
Or was there only one? No, there was only one. The only one with an hour and 20 minutes to go. That just was what needed to just set the race back into going, okay, everyone has fuel and fresh tires, go for it. And everyone went for it.
Yep, it was. Am I right in saying that the full course yellow was for the Bill Auberlen, Alex Sims BMW?
It was indeed for the 25 BMW, or for those that know the difference, the white BMW for this fast race,
Yes.
not the black one.
No, in fact, the sister car actually staged a mighty fine comeback after spinning at the Andretti hairpin on the opening lap to just about hold on to the win by a tenth of a second from the Risi Ferrari.
Just about does not do that statement. Just about was that finish. I was watching it for those that know the layout of Laguna Seca. I was just a little bit past the corkscrew actually before it. I was on turn 6, going up towards on the Rahal Straight just before the corkscrew. That's where I was watching it, and was on pins and needles the whole time, hanging onto the fence, going, "Come on, Risi, you can do it!" And they just came up so close. It was not even fair.
Yes, and speaking of Scuderia Corsa, they absolutely nailed the fuel strategy to get their first win of the season.
Yes, and came right when they needed it too, because now they have a comfortable lead over the 33 Mercedes in GTD points, I believe, after that win.
Yes.
Because I think the 33 finished 5th or 6th, if I remember correctly.
And by the 33, we of course mean just Jeroen Bleekmolen.
Yes, because unfortunately the driver pairing was split at VIR because Ben Keating had to go home to tend to Hurricane Harvey damage sustained at his home and businesses.
Yes, and meanwhile in the prototype category...
Oh, we can say congratulations to prototype champion-elects Ricky Taylor and Jordan Taylor.
Yes, they qualified on pole position with an absolutely storming lap from Ricky, I believe it was, who set the time.
Yes, it was Ricky Taylor. Nearly 1 second faster than the other Cadillac.
Yes, and amusingly still slower than what his dad managed in the Chevrolet Intrepid GTP.
In fairness, that was a different era of cars and a different layout of track.
It was a different era, and then again, they were just piling downforce on it. And it's not the quickest lap in sports car qualifying at Laguna Seca, which I believe is the Acura LMP2, which had David Brabham behind the wheel, although we are talking about David Brabham here. The fact it was quickest.
Well,
is
it was
not a
also an
surprise.
Acura with sticky Michelin rubber and not Continentals on it. Because if it hadn't have Continentals on it, then probably would have been a ridiculously quick lap
Yeah.
in the hands of Ricky Taylor. Speaking of Continental, by the way,
Yes.
they are switching tire manufacturers for 2019
Well,
to Michelin.
Continental is switching tire manufacturers. No, I'm joking.
Well, I mean IMSA.
Yes,
Sorry,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
That's my bad. I meant to say IMSA in 2019 is switching sole tire suppliers to Michelin.
Yes, and the North American Endurance Cup is now going to become the Michelin North American Endurance Cup and not the Tequila
Actually, no,
Patron.
just the Michelin Endurance Cup.
Ah, right, okay.
Basically, everything's just becoming
it's
Michelin.
it's now MEC. It's MEC now.
It's
It's
WEC.
MEC. So it's the North American equivalent of WEC. It's MEC.
It's like it's like some kind of Transformers episode.
Well, there will be a Transformers car in IMSA next year.
Yes.
Oh wow!
Yes,
But this is
it's-
old news.
Yeah. Yes, and the pass for the... And I should say, massive congratulations to Visit Florida Racing, especially with what they've been through after Hurricane Irma in the last few weeks
Oh
as
man,
well.
I can't even believe the stuff that they went through. That was an
Yeah.
absolutely masterful drive, and a team that definitely deserved that win. In only their third race in that chassis, by the way.
Yes, because after they got the best result of third at Daytona with the Riley chassis.
With their awful Riley
They
chassis,
then-
but that's only because it was raining.
Yes, and then they eventually swapped it for the Ligier chassis and got the first win in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship for the global LMP2s as well.
And my God, what a way to win that race! That was absolutely fantastic pass for the win.
At the corkscrew
By-
of all places.
Yes, but that was a pass that was set up well before the corkscrew because I saw
Oh,
them come
yeah.
by us and he just went shooting down the inside. You're just going, this is either going to be brilliant or this is going to be an awful crash, and it luckily turned out to be brilliant.
This is either going to be Alex Zanardi levels of brilliance.
Of impressiveness.
On
Zanardi's
Yeah,
wasn't
or-
even. I don't like Zanardi's overtake. It was not even real.
You are not allowed to speak on this subject because you are an odd human being and don't like the pass, even though it is the greatest thing ever.
He
at
cut
Laguna
the
Seca.
chicane. He
And
never
that
had any
alone-
intention
and
of
that-
stopping.
And that pass alone is the reason why IndyCar should come back to Laguna Seca.
So they
but
can break
anyway.
more rules.
No, because they raced brilliantly. Shut up.
And
You have a differing opinion. It just happens to be the wrong one.
oh dear.
Oh,
But-
dear.
No, massive congratulations to Renger van der Zande, Mark Goosens and the rest of the Visit Florida Racing team on one of the most epic races I have seen.
It's an epic. You think it was epic on TV? Try being there in person.
Oh, absolutely. It's always
I-
so
The
much
last,
better. in
the
person.
last hour was pins and needles going, oh, is he gonna make it? And then the GTD cars were just like, oh, he doesn't have enough fuel. And you're just going, oh, he's not gonna make it. He's not gonna make it. Oh, he's gonna make it. And then the 54 ran out of fuel and had a pit. You're just going, oh, hey, look, the Scuderia Corsa Ferrari's in first. You're going, okay, well that one's done. And then they ran out across literally crossing the line. They were on fumes, I think.
Wow.
The finishing line.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it was pretty similar for. It may have been pretty similar for Andy Lally as well in the second place Acura NSX, as he was also.
Oh, so they did get the second place then. Okay.
Yeah, although he also had to really back off on the last lap, like Balzan, because
Well, that
simply
was the
there
only
no
reason why
fuel.
Balsan had the win. Because yeah, Andy Lally was on fumes. They had more to go to the distance.
Whereas I think Jörg Bergmeister in the third place, Park Place Porsche, I think may have actually had some quantity of fuel left in the tank.
Probably had about a thimble full of fuel left in the tank there.
Yeah.
But he didn't have. He was too far back to even catch the two
Yeah.
in front of him, which was the problem.
But
Because the Porsches definitely had the pace to win that race, and so did the Lamborghinis. But both of them ran into trouble. So yeah.
Yes, Madison Snow literally running into the back of someone on the opening lap in the melee.
Yes, I didn't
as
see what
everyone tried
happened,
to
but
avoid
when they
John
went by
Edwards.
us, that's what happened. Okay,
So
because when he had
Edwards
gone by where I
spun-
was, he had just had damage, and we're just going around going, "Oh, who did he hit?" Because we couldn't find anyone else we hit.
Yeah, it's because I think what happened is he hit the back of one of the Corvettes, I think.
So that must have been where the damage on the Corvette came from.
Yeah.
Because we just saw the diffuser flapping around.
And I think that was because of John Edwards' spin on the Andretti hairpin and everyone having to take avoiding action. But
Yeah, that makes sense now.
brilliant comeback drive by John and by Martin Tomczyk as well to get the win in GTLM.
This is so unfair, that win. It's a day past and I've had time to digest the results, and I'm still going, I have no idea how the hell did they pull that off, because Reese just got robbed at the end there. Literally robbed, because it was so close. Another lap, had they not been lapped by the overall leader, they would have had him by turn 1. They would have been right by him by turn 1.
Yeah. Would now be a good time to move on to the European Le Mans Series news, because there was actually an announcement at Spa.
It was a very exciting race.
Yes.
What
and
was that announcement?
Yes, you two can talk about that, because I didn't see it.
I haven't seen the race either.
Oh, really? Oh, it was cracking, honestly.
Oh, well, now it's your time to star.
Right. I was going to say, I should explain. I've seen the 1 minute and a bit highlights clip
Okay.
on YouTube.
I haven't even seen that.
But prior to the race, there was an announcement regarding next season's calendar.
Jolly good.
So the official test is going to be taking place at the circuit Paul Ricard.
Sadly.
Yes, and with Paul Ricard hosting the opening race of the season just literally 5 days after the test has ended, it's race day. April 9th and 10th for the test, April 14th and 15th for the 4 hours of Le Castellet. And then there's going to be a 1 month-ish gap prior to the second round at Monza. And then after that, there's going to be unchanged rounds at the Red Bull Ring. So that's going to be on July 21st, 22nd. And then in August, on the 17th and the 18th, is going to be the 4 hours of Silverstone. Silverstone now being moved to August, with Spa-Francorchamps featuring this time next year on the 22nd and 23rd. And the final round will be at Portimao, at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve, and it has been moved back a week to the 27th and 28th of October. The Michelin Le Mans Cup will also be on the support bill for the European Le Mans Series, but they won't be racing at Silverstone. That will be replaced with the Road to Le Mans race prior to the Le Grand Prix d'Endurance.
I.e. the 24 hours of Le Mans.
Yes. And now we come to the actual race itself.
Yes, it was a brilliant race, honestly.
Yes. Lots of
Started off-
full course yellows, I seem to.
Yes, yeah,
have
there
read.
there were quite a few full course yellows.
One of which, I should say, for a particularly nasty looking accident for the Algarve Pro car at Pujon, where
It was,
the
yes,
car
it
actually
was.
rolled.
Yes, it was one of the
What?
P3 cars. Which was the driver?
P2.
It was one of the P2. Yeah, that's it.
It was Roda.
Yes. Well, which rotor? There's about 3.
There's-
Giovanni,
If it was a
I
if it was-
think?
Giovanni
Hold on,
Roda, yeah.
Just double check that quickly, though.
I think it was Giovanni Roda, but basically, we didn't see what happened.
If I'm remembering the pictures right, that wasn't a P2 car, that was a P3 car, wasn't it? Because wasn't it a Norma that had rolled over?
Yeah, I thought it was a P3 car. No, because there's only one
Picture
P3
looked
Norma,
like it
and
was a
that
Norma.
no, there was only one P3 Norma, and that crashed at the top of a Rouge. So I think you're
That was the one that I had seen, never mind.
yeah, I think you're getting muddled up there. But anyway, yeah, the car that rolled was Giovanni Roda. We didn't see what
sorry.
happened. We only saw him sort of going backwards into the Puron corner, so it looked as if
Andrea.
he'd. Andrea,
Sorry,
that's it.
Andrea
Okay,
Roda.
yeah.
Sorry, I've just
Some-
had to quickly check
Something
that.
Italian, yeah.
He was sharing the car with Matt McMurray and Andrea Pizzatola. So I just
Yeah.
point that out quick.
Backwards into Pool, we didn't see what happened. He might have made contact with a slower car, but none came through, so I didn't. I don't think that is the case. Looked a lot like something failed on the car or something like that, but we just don't know. But whatever happened, the car hit the wall at quite an odd angle, reminiscent of the Aston Martin's accident in the
Ooh.
WEC last year.
Which which I think from memory was the exit of Stavilo.
It was the end. Well, it was the first corner of 2 at Stavilo, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it just clipped the barrier just the wrong way to tip the car over. But the marshals did a good job of clearing that car, and it was actually a much shorter full course yellow period than I imagined it would be. That was the second safety car period, I think. The first was for a silly little accident at the chicane where one car spun into another.
I saw that. So
This sounds like the most clumsiest driving I've ever heard of from the ELMS,
You-
because usually they're pretty
It
clean.
was
I've
quite
seen
clumsy,
the
yeah.
LMP3 class this year.
Well, that's why I said usually. I didn't say they were all the time.
There was then a
This-
P3 Norma which managed to spin about 3 times in the space of 2 laps. One of which, I think it was 3 times in the space of 2 laps it spun. One of which ended it in the barriers at the top of Raniel.
See, that was a picture I had seen then.
Yeah. I don't know which driver was behind the wheel at the time, but whoever they were obviously not happy with the car because, well, 3 spins in the space of 2 laps. You've got to wonder what was wrong with the car. But apart from the various incidents and accidents, the race lead, of course, was being kept rather close because of that. It was Henrik Hebman in the 21 Dragon Speed car that was on pole, although he dropped back at the very start of the race as we expect him to, being an AM driver. But after that, who took the lead next?
Because it was alongside him was the G-Drive Racing
Yes.
Dragon Speed car, which had Leo Russell starting it. And he promptly locked up at La Source and ran quite some way wide, it has to be said.
Yeah, that was it. Russell went to the inside, locked up at turn 1, went right to the outside, and then we had the United Autosports car. That was right, coming from about, I think it was
Yes.
4th on the grid,
Sadler, I
straight
think.
through to the lead. Yeah, Hugo de Sadler, great start from him. Took good opportunity of the chaos ahead of him. There was a spinner at the back. Then later on in the
LMP3,
race,
obviously.
after the what's that?
So I was going to say, I think the spinner at the back was an LMP3 car.
Yes, it was. Then, after the second full course yellow period, the number 40 car, the number 40 Orica, I think, went around the outside of the G-Drive car at Le Comte. Good move, nice clean move to take the lead of the race. And that car did technically lead from there on in, but towards the end of the race, it was actually getting so tense because that number 40 car was running about 25 seconds up when it got news of a penalty, which was a drive-through penalty for not turning the engine off while refueling, and that the driver of the car took that penalty on the penultimate lap of the race, so the last time he could have taken it. Came out for a 1 lap battle about 2 car lengths ahead of the car in second, and well, it was a very close finish. In the end, the gap after 4 hours was only half a second, and
Yes.
you know that it was a good race when the gap for the lead is half a second after 4 hours. I mean, that takes some doing. It was the G-Drive car that eventually finished second. The winner in the LMP3 class was the number 9 car, the World of Tanks sponsored car.
The Talkanitsa car, Alex Talkanitsa Senior, Alexander Talkanitsa Junior,
That's the one.
and Mikkel Jensen.
Yes, Mikkel Jensen, that's it. Who was also the fastest driver of the weekend by over a second in fastest lap. I must say, Mikkel Jensen was he put in an absolutely titanic performance of the weekend. Absolutely flying.
And Spirit of Race, I believe, also done pretty good.
Yep, they won the GT class. It was the 51 Spirit of Race Ferrari that won the GT class. The other class is maybe not such a great race as we had in the P2 class, but my goodness, we had an absolute cracker of a race. And it does also mean that the G Drive car has basically won the championship. I don't know if it's mathematically confirmed or not yet. How many points do you get for a win? Is it 25 like in...
I'm not sure.
It's not the same FIA formula, so I don't know.
Yes, well, if it is 25 points for a win, then they haven't quite confirmed it yet. But if you look at the scores, I mean, they've pretty much confirmed it. They've got 4 second places and a win from 5 races. That's done and dusted. That's consistency to the max. Of course, they haven't got the most wins. That would be the United Autosports car with 2 wins at Silverstone and the Red Bull Ring. But they've been on the podium at every single race so far this year, and they are very obviously the car to beat, as they were last year as well.
Yep.
And there is only 1 round remaining now, which is at Portimao in Portugal. So, and that will be on the 22nd of October. So we have about a month to wait, but
Typical ELMS captain.
yeah, but it'll be worth it, I'm sure.
Speaking of champions, you can also crown DKR Engineering as champions of the Michelin Le Mans Cup as well.
Yes, we can.
Which means an automatic invite to Le Mans next year, I believe. Or does LMP3 not? No, yeah, LMP3 winners in Michelin Le Mans Cup do get an invite to Le Mans, I believe. Because that's how United Autosport got theirs this year. Or was that from winning ELMS? I can't quite remember now.
You're asking the wrong one.
Oh no, I've brought up a point that no one has the answer to. Oh
Hold on.
dear.
Yes, hence why I am rather frantically looking it up on a certain online encyclopedia, and this is blooming awkward.
Because I know the United Autosports entry was either because of their win in the Michelin Le Mans Cup or for the their win in the LMS, but either one. Because it says or is it GT3?
Yes.
Can't quite
The
remember.
it says here that the champion team receives an automatic invitation to take part in the following Le Mans 24 Hours in GTE AM. Although for the 2017 season it will feature LMP3 and GT3 cars, with the ACO aiming to create a kind of LMP3 secondary division regarding ELMS promoting the best teams from Michelin.
So you've already answered my question then. It's only
ELMS.
for the GTM team only gets, or the winning, I can speak. The winning GT team gets an entry to Le Mans, not the LMP3
Yes,
cars.
which is how TF Sport got there. And
Well, yes, I was going to say that. Yeah, that's how they got theirs. So
Yes.
never mind. DKR Engineering gets a trophy, but they don't win anything.
Yes.
They don't get an entry to Le Mans. Sad.
So to Richard
Also-
Bradley, to Gustavo Jackerman, and to James Allen, jolly good job. Well done.
Jolly good. Also,
Who is leading the GT in in Michelin Le Mans Cup anyway? It's a
Um,
Lamborghini, isn't it?
Oh, crikey! Hold on. Here we go.
You
Where
just
is it?
had the thing open. I know you
yes,
did.
yes, I just closed it as well.
ugh,
Oh dear. Never
Always the
mind.
case.
Don't just. Yeah.
Oh
I
no, wait!
always
I've
have
hit the wrong
awful
button on my
timing.
mouse because I've got so many buttons on it.
Oh, never mind. Forget it. I'm just assuming it's a Lamborghini.
It doesn't say.
Oh, never mind then. Forget it. Once again, bringing up a point no one has the answer to.
It's. I would have thought it's.
It's a
one of the-
Lamborghini. Yeah.
Yes, I would have thought that would have been the case. But the
There's only
reality
5
is,
cars this year, so yeah.
yes, the reality is We don't know.
No, yeah. Anyway, I believe
Damn it.
Penta had a point he wanted to
Yes,
bring up.
hello, I'm still here.
Yes.
I'm not dead or asleep.
Oh, jolly good.
So sorry about
That's
that.
all good.
Terribly sorry about that.
So, in very short, kinda important news, I don't know, none of us really like DTM.
It can't be unimportant yet important.
Well, it's important to some, just not important to us, I assume. Or,
Oh, fair point.
but DTM has finally decided to get rid of the balance of performance for this season, which
Yay.
is only one more race. But it was discontinued on the last race at the Red Bull Ring and will be at the last race in Hockenheim, I think.
Wait, last race in the Red Bull Ring.
Well, the last.
Where were they
ra-
racing this weekend?
The Red Bull
No,
Ring.
the last race. I mean, in the last race that happened.
Yeah.
The previous race. There you go.
No, seriously, what was the last race they were at?
The Red Bull
Past
Ring.
weekend,
They-
where were they?
Red
They were at
Bull
the Red
Ring.
Bull Ring.
Okay,
last
they
weekend.
were at the Red Bull Ring. Okay, you were
Yeah.
confusing me.
Sorry, I'm sorry. The previous race, which
So,
was at the
so
Red Bull
the
Ring.
next, the season finale is at the Hockenheim Ring then.
I think so.
Yes,
You're
it is.
asking wrong.
Okay,
It
thank
is.
you.
Yeah, it is.
So that will be.
So
stopped.
wait, they've got rid of BOP specifically in time for their final race of the season?
Yeah, that seems a bit weird.
Well,
That
in
is a
the- for
stupid
the
decision.
for the last two races. But yeah, I don't
One
know.
round, yeah.
Well, the final round then. But yeah, really?
No, the
That makes
final
no
two
sense.
rounds. It was stopped on
Oh,
the
it's
14th.
okay, yeah.
Well, it's one round, but they have two races. is
No,
what I
he
mean.
means that they even stopped it at the Red Bull Ring. So
Exactly.
Well, that makes even less sense.
it
But,
does
yeah.
actually.
Well,
Well, we
it's-
are talking about DTM here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Never mind. I'll suspend my dismay over these changes. It's the DTM. Oh, fair point. Well done. Nicely
You
presented
shouldn't
there.
even
I'm
question
afraid-
it anymore.
Thank you.
Yeah,
No, but I question everything, and then I go, why am I even questioning this? I don't know, because I'm stupid.
I'm afraid that DTM is probably in its closing stages anyway. So it's
Knowing, so
it's a dying series.
I was going to say, knowing what the DTM done in the past, it is going to go out with a globe-trotting world tour, includes which, just like they done in the mid-1990s with the ITC.
No, they wish they could do that, because if they went elsewhere with DTM, everyone would just be like, what is this series that you're trying to promote to us with only German cars with some German drivers in
You're
it? Nah,
acting
we have
like
no
it's a
interest.
big deal, but none of us have heard it.
Yeah, none of us have ever heard of this weird touring car series before. Is this like Super GT, but 10 times more expensive and 10 times more boring?
Yes.
And slower.
And slower,
and-
yeah. Well, there you go.
Not strictly speaking touring cars, they are probably got more in common with a Le Mans prototype.
Silhouette cars! Silhouette cars!
Yes,
Yeah.
technically, kind of, sort of, maybe.
I hesitate to even call them prototypes, because they're too slow to even be prototypes.
Well, they're sort of a cross between a GT car and a prototype, but they're nothing like
So
a
I said I
touring car.
hesitate to call them that.
What's that?
I said that's why I hesitate to call them a prototype, because they're not quite prototype levels of technology either.
Yeah.
Then again,
Yes.
the Daytona prototype wasn't a prototype either, so
Yeah.
It's
whatever.
just a pissing contest of the three big German manufacturers. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's basically what that is, yeah.
Yes.
Soon, only to be two.
Yes.
One of them is leaving.
Or will there be two?
Well,
will
soon-
there be none?
Soon to be none, I'm afraid.
Probably. Because
We can only hope, because then we can just be like, yay, no more DTM, everyone's
But-
moving on to do something better.
I mean, like,
with
I never like to see racing series end.
I've never cheered more actively for a series to die off than DTM.
Well, DTM's not awful. It's not evil. It's just
It is awful. It has stupid rules,
Okay,
with
it's
stupid
awful.
spec tires, with stupid racing, and it's contrived in every single fashion. And even then, their contrivances can't even make the racing close.
yes.
like this-
And can I also can I
Yeah.
also point out that when they were thinking of introducing the Super GT engine formula, it would be through spec engines.
ah
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says everything you need to know about a series.
bother.
Yes. It's kind
Changing
of
it
you
every
know
year, hoping it will
yeah.
be better, but it won't.
it's kind of
No, it
Oh,
never
dear.
will be better.
It's DTM reminds me of MSA Formula certified by the FIA, powered by Ford EcoBoost, because Jonathan Palmer owned the naming rights to Formula 4 in the UK at the time, or, as I think it was referred to on Midweek Motorsport, MSA Formula What. Formula What, I think, does kind of sum up DTM at the moment.
Yeah, actually, that's probably a good succinct point. Actually,
It doesn't.
Actually, no, I take that back. They already use Formula What. It should be Formula Who?
It should be Formula Y.
You could have who, what,
that's
when, where, and why.
better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
how.
Formula Who, What, When, Where, Why, and How.
Formula WWWWWH.
That'll do it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Still probably
must
makes
say
more
that-
sense than what he does at the moment.
I do like the DTM support categories, the Audi TT Sport Cup and Formula 3, which did have a very exciting race at the weekend.
What is the... Not speaking of another series that has no point, what is the point of Formula 3?
What's
Formula 3 cars have, in my opinion, too much grip and not enough power.
No, speaking of which, Josh, which Formula 3 series supports them? Is it the proper Formula
Yes,
3?
European
or is it
Formula
the
3.
multiple... See, no, you say
FIA.
European Formula 3. Is it
FIA.
FIA F3 or is
yes,
it
it's
Euro International?
FIA
F3?
Formula 3. It's the proper Formula 3 season, which actually debatably has a higher talent pool than Formula 2. Yes, that one.
Okay, good. So it does have a point then. How many cars are in it this year?
20. So it has
Okay,
a
a
decently
proper
sized
grid
grid,
then.
yeah.
I was going to say, it's
Proper
still
grid.
less than when I saw them race at Silverstone back in 2015.
Oh yes, but
Well,
that's,
in fairness, that was probably because you were watching British Formula 3 or
No, it
something.
was-
No, British Formula 3 had died out by then, but it was the actual
Oh,
FIA...
whatever, I had forgotten the death date.
Yeah.
the
It
British
was-
Formula 3 isn't even Formula 3. When we say Formula 3, we mean Formula 3.
Fuck's sake, I don't understand anymore.
But yeah, this is the series that Lando Norris is pretty much dominating, and he's the new. Everyone's like he's the new the new
champion
thing.
elect.
He's going places.
Yes, he's going into a gravel trap to have a little sit down and seemingly
Exactly,
have a little
he is.
cry.
Yes, or he did rather. Basically.
Who?
Maximilian Gunter, I think his name is.
Ah, okay, thank you for that.
So yeah, Norris basically needed to finish fewer than 10 points behind Gunther to win the title. It's basically to keep the title open till the final round. Gunther had to beat Norris by 10 points in the race. Norris was running second, so he was well in range. Gunther was running 8th, but one of the cars had did have a time penalty, so he was effectively running 7th. So Norris would have won the title if it had all finished like that. However, Norris decided that he wasn't really a fan of sitting in second place with a comfortable title margin, so he decided instead to drive into the back of the race leader. So he did. Luckily,
He drove into the back of the race leader.
luckily there wasn't any damage to the race leader, Joel Ericsson's car at the time. Norris actually got away pretty lightly as well. He only lost a little plane from his front wing. However, you could see that was severely hampering his pace, so he was dropping back. However, this was very close to the end of the race, so he was obviously still going to win the title anyway because he was still running second, even if Aaron had passed him for second. Gunther would still have finished 7th, and the title would still have been Norris's. However, Ralph Farron decided that he didn't fancy sitting in 3rd place, so he drove into the back of Lando Norris, and this time they were both.
Oh my goodness.
Norris went for a little sit down in the gravel trap. There is now a new internet meme of hashtag places Lando would rather be, with people photoshopping that image into all sorts of weird and wonderful places.
No, I'm sorry, there's only one room
And
for that, and that's
yeah, the
Fernando
championship
Alonso.
is
You
going
can't
over to the
have
final
that.
round, where Norris is undoubtedly going to win it anyway, but still.
Well,
Yeah.
good for him.
And in
Gotta make
And then
fairness,
he'll go to
it
F2.
somehow.
he has had a pretty good sense of humour about the whole thing.
He has. I was really surprised actually because some drivers in that case, of course, would throw a strop and allow their confidence to be completely knocked and so forth. But Norris joined in the joke. I mean, Norris himself tweeted some of those images. So
Oh, that's good. I love that.
yeah, so he's had a great sense of humour about the whole thing. Of course, I think it would be very different if he had lost the championship at that point. But the thing is, he's so far ahead on points that he's going to win the championship anyway. All he needs to do in the next round is score 3 points in any of those three.
He just needs to finish.
Yeah. All he needs to do is score
Basically.
3 points in any of those three races. So he could finish 8th in the first race and then not even turn up to the second and third, and he's won the title.
There you go.
But yeah, just a bit of sort of late season drama. It was exciting, I must say.
Sounds exciting for the bit of it, but I don't know. I still can't get excited about F3s. It's F3.
I suppose it's easier to understand if you follow Formula 1 as well, because then...
No, it's not really, because now you just bring up the open wheel ladder system, and why is there not a simple ladder in Europe? I don't understand. There's like a billion different series that take you ultimately.
They're making
to
a simple
F1.
ladder. I mean, in fact, that's another piece of news recently, that GP3 has recently announced that it will merge with Formula 3 for the 2019 season. There's going to be a single make series pretty much exactly the same as GP3.
Wait, who's merging?
GP3 and Formula 3 European. So
Why? They're not even the same car.
No, but they're not. But they're basically, to put that in simpler terms, Formula 3 European Series is ending.
Is GP3 becoming Formula 3, basically?
No, Formula 3 is becoming GP3. That's basically
same
what's
thing,
happening.
Whatever.
So
Okay.
basically, a lot of the teams from...
Wait, hang on. So you're saying the thing that it should have been from the beginning is finally happening?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It only took them like 15 years to figure that out.
Well, no, I mean Formula 3...
Or however many years F3 existed. Probably closer to 10, actually.
I think the new version of the F3 Euro Series, what everyone sees as the F3 Euro Series, began in...
No, I meant GP3.
Oh, GP3,
Which is technically the...
2010 was when GP3 started, yeah. Well, GP3 is pretty much not going to change. They're basically just going to bring in a new chassis of GP3 car, call it an F3 car, and all of the F3 teams are going to flock to GP3.
So it's not an F3 championship, then?
Well, it is sort of, because there isn't going to be an F3 championship, so that's going to be the... So,
Oh, Jesus Christ. So you're basically explaining to me that GP3 is merging into Formula 3, and that Formula 3 won't be running their cars anymore. There'll be a spec GP3 car that will be called an F3 car, but it won't actually be an F3 car because it won't be running to an F3 regulation.
Well, those will be F3 regulations then, because there won't be what you now see as F3.
That just means national championships will have to change their regulations again, which isn't helping anything.
There's going to be international Formula 3 and there's going to be regional Formula 3. The regional Formula 3
which
cars...
will have different regulations.
Yes, exactly.
I haven't got a clue what's going on anymore.
That's my point.
Just like Formula 3 does now. But it does.
This is why it's confusing. It makes no sense.
It does at least iron out the problem a bit.
There's two different sets of regulations under the same series name.
Well,
nothing changes.
But there's more at the moment.
Names.
Nothing has changed except the name. Except the chassis will be more expensive for Formula 3, the actual Formula 3, and national championships will be running the same cars they have now, but they'll still be called F3, but they'll be national series under F3, but they won't be doing anything to actually train drivers because the cars will be different to the actual F3 car.
Well, sort of.
What have you achieved?
Well, you've achieved...
More confusion.
You've basically...
What do you expect?
Well, you've got...
Why can't you guys just look at what we're doing with the Mazda Road to Indy and copy that?
That's what I wish was going on over here.
Because everybody
Literally,
wants to
it's
have
one
their own
car
series.
for USF 2000. Then you go and with that same chassis, you upgrade it for just a little bit more money, and you have a Pro Mazda car. And then the Pro Mazda car, you keep that one, and then you can get the Indy Lights car, which is like a baby Indy car, and it's a proper training car. And you can probably do that all with the same team. And they give you money to go into the next series. Why can't you copy that?
Because
I don't
we
know.
want money. You give money.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake. It's no wonder Trevor Carlin's a billionaire. Everyone had a rich father gives him money.
Well, Trevor Carlin also races in the US.
And he still can't run an Indy car.
Well, true. Well,
Give me strength.
it's just that it does make it fairer though. It's now there's kind of the two main series have merged, so there's going to be one main series rather than two on that level, and that means that that means that there's only really going to be one series on the third tier, and that saves a lot of hassle. It's a bit like what they've done with
It
Formula
doesn't
2.
save the hassle. There's just too many national... There's a national series that we... An F3 national series, like British F3, that'll be running separate cars that won't be teaching anyone anything because they're not the same car as the international F3 series. They should be the exact same car, or they shouldn't be going down that route, because it should be consolidated.
For British Formula 3,
Because then, if you had the same car, if you won British Formula 3 or French Formula 3 or German Formula 3, you can go, right, I won, I have the same car, I'm going to take the car that I have now, and the team that I ran and won the championship with, and go into international F3. That's how it should be.
Or just make it international altogether. Well, I don't know.
well,
It should be that way, because then the national championships have a point to them, and they can actually make a healthy grid in the national series, because then you can have an actual grooming step to the actual series you want to get to, and then you can go from F3 into F2, and then from F2 into F1. This isn't hard.
Sorry, actually, going back to your point earlier, Forza, regarding the USF 200 or 2000.
2000.
2000, yeah.
chairs, and the fact you can upgrade it to a Pro Mazda car. What is currently used in BRDC British F3 is a Tatus chassis, and I believe, judging by
More or
what
less
I
the
can
same
see,
chassis, I think,
it
yeah.
is basically a Formula 4 chassis by the looks of things. Yes, it
It
is.
is
It even says
basically-
the
yeah.
F4016.
It's basically a Formula 4 car with... Actually, I don't know what they've done to it. It looks just like a Formula 4 car to me.
It's got a 230 horsepower 2-litre Cosworth engine,
Probably an F4 car with less downforce and less power.
bit more aero as well.
Or a bit more, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, so
But anyway, we don't have time to ramble on about that, because that's just a sticking point in my head all the time when I see European Formula Series that have no point.
is it bad that my head hurts now just thinking about how the whole structure is?
Welcome to how my head works when someone tries to explain to me how European formula systems work, and I go, why don't you just copy our model? Like, literally, it's the simplest thing ever. It's not hard.
and that's what
I
the
wish.
FAA is trying to
Find
do.
someone to give you money. Like, literally, it's not that hard.
Well, that's what
is
the
what I
FAA is
wish.
trying to do. I mean, the FAA has been saying for years they want one category on each level, just like you have in America.
The FIA can't even be bothered. I don't care if they say
But
that's
that's what
they've been
they're
trying to
doing.
do. If they were actually bothered about it, they would do it, but they haven't done it.
America didn't get founded with that, like, with their
The
racing series.
how the IndyCar Mazda Road to Indy system works, exactly. It wasn't that way from the beginning. But IndyCar found Anderson Promotions, who did a great job at promoting their thing. And IndyCar said, oh, well, we'll just have them run our ladder system. And they consolidated it all under one group who has a set of regulations, and they promote it. That's that. And that's how that works. And they also have prize money from Cooper Tires and Mazda, and that's how the ladder system works. And then they move on with that money.
Yes, I see.
But on that problem, well, a rant for another day, I guess. What is racing this weekend? So we can
Formula One is.
Yes, I have.
That's about it. Yeah,
a
okay,
list
good
in
night,
front of me. There is also the Blancpain Endurance Series, and in fact the final round
Oh
of
my
the
God,
Blancpain
really?
GT Series this year, coming from the Circuit Catalunya for a 3-hour race. There's also the final round of the British Touring Car Championship coming from the Grand Prix circuit.
Who are the contenders?
at
Is it
Brands Hatch.
Sutton and...
The two main contenders are Ash Sutton and Colin Turkington.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds about right.
There's also the World Superbike Championship coming from Mancourt, and the British Superbike Championship is coming from not Britain. It's actually going to be coming from Assen in Holland.
Well, it doesn't matter. An English person will win the British Superbikes, as they always do.
Yes, most likely. I'm just gonna have a look-
Anything ADAC related, Penta?
No.
Yes!
The season is over.
Can I just quickly say congratulations to Josh Files for winning the
Oh, I thought you were going to
ADAC
congratulate me there.
ADAC TCR series for the second year in a row.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean-
it's interesting that.
Funny
Fire.
how... So,
I joined the series halfway through, and immediately I could see that Files was the quickest driver and that he was the one to beat. There was no doubt about that at all.
yes.
A point also I remember now since you brought up bikes. There was the first female winner of a FIM sanctioned event in its
Yes!
114-year history, like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yes, this was at the previous round at Portimao in the World Supersport Championship race, where I believe it was Anna Carrasco.
Jolly good.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Yes, it was
Also, if
Anna
we're crowning
Carrasco.
female champions, guess who won the British Karting Championship? The Super 1 British Karting Championship main class, Junior X30.
Just say who it is, because we don't know.
Abby Pulling. Finally,
I
first
have no idea who that is.
first female karting champion in history. I mean,
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
it was. I mean, I've been following the British Karting Championships for 2 or 3 years now, and she so nearly got it last year. It was so close. It came down to the final round with her and Bradley White. It looked exactly like she was going to win it, and then in the very final round, on the final lap, there was an accident up the road. Bradley White gained 2 positions, and that was all he needed to win the championship. So. Pulling lost it on the final lap last year in a very Felipe Massa style way. But
Is this going to take much longer to explain? Because I was trying to wrap up.
oh, okay.
I wasn't expecting a summary.
But yeah, she's won it this year, and it was a great finale as well. Honestly,
Congratulations to Abby.
Congratulations to her,
Congratulations to her.
and hope she goes somewhere with that.
oh, she will.
And
Well, you never know.
and also the weekend after next is going to be epic.
Yes, but we'll get to that next week.
Yes. There are
Whoa.
some
And
pretty tasty
sorry,
things.
we're over talking
Sorry.
over each other.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say there are some pretty tasty things lined up next weekend. Sorry, the
Okay,
weekend after next, rather. We'll mention that next week, but it's going to be...
Yes, we will mention that
Awesome.
next week with previews and all that.
Oh, yes.
Let's get excited for the last round of Bongpan GT series. And
Yes, that's what I was gonna ask because I had heard him mention it, but I couldn't remember what he said or hear what he had said. Where
Yes,
is it
it's-
from?
It's from
Uh,
the...
Barcelona.
Yes, Circuit to Catalonia.
Oh, okay, so it'll be dull and boring then.
It's 3 hours,
Well,
and
we'll see.
I'm...
Anyways, it's the last round. It's gonna be exciting. We will
Yes, we all look forward to it.
talk about it next week. So, time to wrap it. Thank you all for listening. Sorry for our rambling.
Oh, but before we go, no, I'm joking.
You'll hear from us again next week. Thank you for listening. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.